psychic spies, Cold War whimsy, or secret weapon. Some people may have certain psychic powers. This may reassure you, it may alarm you, but in fact, for some years now, the U.S. intelligence community has wagered a modest amount of money on the possibility that such powers do exist. Such powers do exist. But the most enduring experiments have been in the field of remote viewing. We got into it when we discovered that they were in it.
We found that many individuals are able to accurately describe what's going on in distant locations, blocked from any kind of ordinary perception.
The CIA financed a project in 1975 to develop a new kind of agent.
The remote viewing program basically ran from the early 70s to the mid-90s.
For more than 20 years, the CIA used psychic abilities operationally and in a top-secret program for the U.S. government.
You can actually take out of thin air information about something you have absolutely no access to, just using your mind.
One time we had a small plane go down somewhere in Africa, and we were not able to find it by surveillance. So the director of the CIA heard about a woman in California that was a medium or something, I don't know the title for. And she gave him the latitude and longitude of the plane's whereabouts. We located the plane where she said it was.
Plaace often said, the more attention you place on hiding something, the more it shines like a beacon in psychic space.
Pat Price died in 1975.
It was obvious to any intelligence organization that if you had an ability to be able to remotely perceive stuff, really remotely, like any place in the world, that could be an extraordinary intelligence.
Psyops. I saw hurricanes. I saw economic meltdowns in America and the world, as well as homelessness everywhere, all culminating in a plague to end all plagues. A pandemic caused by a virus that would slowly fade the entire population of the world away. In 1976, it was named ATEF, or As the Enemy Fades, and gave it what I called a legal code name of CV-19. Yes, a virus. The last prediction of 169 predictions, all of which have now come true. As told in 1976, documented and gone public in September of 1982, and finally turned into a screenplay book called On a Hidden Field, Kids Who Saw the Future in 2003.
James Jordan.
And what is your occupation, sir?
I'm an astronaut.
I was born the son of two highly intelligent, eventual college professors, Charles and Betty Allums, something that may have contributed to me being placed in something they called the program. It was the basketball program. It had no basketballs and no courts. But by the age of 7, I had saved 2 fledgling newspapers, the Berkeley Gazette and the Richmond Independent, by introducing something called the Independent News Salesperson, where we would go door to door getting new subscriptions, instead of the dangerous act of delivering newspapers at 3 a.m. in the morning, which I was doing before. My success took me everywhere, from Disneyland on the weekends to Sanger, California, and the Dew Ranch in the summer. I made more than most adults, until I retired at the age of 12. As a teen, I met Huey Newton at Eastmont Mall in Oakland. I told him I was going to be like him. I was going to change the world. He looked at me and gave me this poster. I've always been around radicals, with my mother teaching at the University of California, Berkeley, the Tolman Hall, head of the backup program. I saw all the time. Everything was there, from free speech activists to computer geniuses that will one day change the world. From the age of 10 to 15, I used to be on campus trying to get into the Futures Club with no avail, so I decided to start my own. At the age of 16, me and 3 other non-students formed the Forecasters and made 169 predictions. I put them in my book, On the Hidden Field, Kids That Saw the Future. Screenplay written in 2003, 5 years before 2008, and everything we said occurred. Predictions were influenced by 2 groups, a Chicano group, members of Backup, who said that they'd be the majority in 2017, and a Jewish group who said the chosen people of God will be freed in 2019. It was that same Jewish kid that explained to me Sigmund Freud's superego, ego, and the id, and how superego is the father, ego is the mother, and when you remove the superego, a father, that person, that group or race of people fails dramatically. Welfare was a trap. We came to the conclusion that there were two significant factors that would affect when the virus would occur. When the Spanish-speaking people of California became the majority in 2017, and when the chosen people of God's 400-year curse was over in 2019. We chose 2019. Less than 10 years later, I was back at my old stomping grounds, this time as a student at the University of California at Berkeley. The Oakland Tribune was going around asking certain people questions about what they thought about the future. I told them welfare was a trap. It was designed to destabilize the chosen people of God before the 2019 deadline. They didn't know it wasn't my words, but it didn't matter. They cut all that shit out anyway. No one ever believes a damn thing I'm saying, but I'm always proven right.
See, she already told me. See, I told you. I told you.
you know, so that's what shocked me. But you weren't personally mad at them. You were mad at something else. Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, like I said, everybody's concerned whether you're gonna hurt somebody. So that's the only reason.
Last winter, the FBI was praised for its speed in cracking the case of the World Trade Center bombing and bringing 4 suspects to trial. Now, there is some evidence that the FBI may have known of the plot in advance through an informant and might even have stopped the bombing that killed 6 people. Correspondent Jacqueline Adams has the story.
FBI agents might have been able to prevent last February's deadly explosion at New York's World Trade Center. They discussed secretly substituting harmless powder for the explosives, but they didn't, according to the FBI's own informant, Imad Salem. Unbeknownst to the FBI at the time, Salem recorded many of his conversations with his handlers. Kutzler confirmed newspaper reports of the Salem transcripts. In one, Salem complains to an FBI agent, "Since the bomb went off, I feel terrible. I feel bad. I feel here is people who don't listen." The agent replies, "Hey, I mean, it wasn't like you didn't try and I didn't try. You can't force people to do the right thing."
At issue increasingly for some of the victims and their families, what did authorities know or suspect before the explosion that federal workers and the children arriving at the Murrah building did not know or were not told? Other documents obtained by 2020 show that someone called the Executive Secretariat's office at the Justice Department in Washington and said the Murrah building had been bombed. But this was 24 minutes before the blast. No action was apparently taken.
Released a report today condemning the FBI crime lab for mishandling evidence and for slanting its analysis. The report is expected to specifically criticize the lab's handling of the Oklahoma City and World Trade Center bombing cases. It was the allegations of FBI whistleblower Frederick Whitehurst that sparked that investigation.
The FBI laboratory has billed itself for many, many years as the premier forensic laboratory in the world. The people that did the things they did knew doggone well what they were doing.
Why the people in the Murrah building were killed. As I said, I don't know if they intended it or it just got away from them. God, I hate to think that they did it on purpose.
What we found out between the hours of 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. that morning, he was brutally murdered a mile and a half from the front gate of the El Reno Penitentiary. From that moment that his body was found, we know that the crime scene was destroyed. There were spade shovels that were used to turn over the crime scene, ballistics, any gunpowder residue, anything that had to do with his death was completely destroyed. It was corrupted.
He started having problems with it, not only at work, but his apartment got broke into, his car got broke into, things were stolen out of his house. He had accumulated reports, evidence, I don't know what all, but he was going to take it out to a mini storage in El Reno. And he left one night, and he told a friend of his that they were going to go out to dinner. He says, I got to run out and put some stuff in mini storage, and as soon as I shake these feds that are following me, I'll be back and we'll go to dinner. Well, he never came back.
I was told by an agent, an FBI agent, that due to comments that I've made, that people like me often ended up dead. You need to be careful what I said. I was him, and in the way that he put it forth, I felt like it was a threat.
And that we will in fact find weapons or evidence of weapons programs that are conclusive.
I don't think we'll discover anything myself.
It appears that there were not weapons of mass destruction there.
You said you knew where they were.
I did not.
I don't know anybody that I can think of who has contended that the Iraqis had nuclear weapons.
And we believe he has in fact reconstituted nuclear weapons.
Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. You do not know what you are talking about. Okay, you get one person.
Let's read through the NIH definition of gain-of-function. This is your definition that you guys wrote. It says that scientific research that increases the transmissibility among animals is gain-of-function. They took animal viruses that only occur in animals and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain-of-function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a pandemic. No one's saying those viruses caused it.
It is molecularly.
Those viruses caused the pandemic. What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
That is
not. You can't
not.
get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
Olympic gymnastics superstars, including Simone Biles and Aly Raisman, are testifying in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. The hearing is examining how the FBI failed to respond to allegations of sexual abuse against former USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze reports from Washington.
A blockbuster hearing on Capitol Hill.
The hearing will come to order.
Star gymnasts Simone Biles, Michaela Maroney, Maggie Nichols, and Aly Raisman giving emotional testimony about how they were sexually abused by former USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar.
To be clear, I blame Larry Nassar, and I also blame an entire system that enabled and perpetrated his abuse.
Nassar was sentenced to up to 175 years in prison in 2018 for molesting hundreds of gymnasts.
What is the point of reporting abuse if our own FBI agents are going to take it upon themselves to bury that report in a drawer? They had legal, legitimate evidence of child abuse and did nothing. If they're not going to protect me, I want to know, who are they trying to protect?
Senators are now asking how the FBI overlooked these painful accusations and bungled its investigation into Nassar.
The FBI had two separate opportunities to do its job, and it failed.
In a scathing report in July, the Justice Department Inspector General found FBI agents failed to respond with the urgency required once they learned about the allegations in 2015. The report said FBI agents then tried to cover up their mistakes.
The agency's failures allowed a sexual predator to continue to abuse more than 70 young women. That is inexcusable.
FBI Director Christopher Wray also testifying. He was not in charge of the agency at the time of the investigation, but the FBI has said its handling of the case was appalling.
The actions and inaction of the FBI employees detailed in this report are totally unacceptable.
Says she reported the assault to the FBI, but she told us it wasn't for another decade, just before Epstein's first arrest in 2006, that an agent finally appeared at her door. Farmer says they never followed up.
They still haven't asked to talk to me. They are trying to pretend I do not exist. That's right. I want my report, and I want it printed out so I can show everyone how much they failed.
November 1988, Nebraska's state government set up a parallel investigation into the Franklin financial collapse. But the money trail led quickly to the original allegations of child abuse, and almost immediately, anonymous threats began.
I received a phone call on the floor of the legislature. The caller did not identify himself, but he said, "Lauren, you do not want to have an investigation of the Franklin Federal Credit Union." And I asked who I was speaking to, and they said, "That doesn't matter, but you shouldn't have that investigation." And I said, "Well, why not?" He said, "It will reach to the highest levels of the Republican Party, and we're both good Republicans."
It's a web of intrigue that starts in our Holy of Holies, Boys Town, Nebraska, one of the most respected institutions in the United States, and spreads out like a spider web to Washington, D.C., right up to the steps of the nation's capital, the steps of the White House. Involves some of the most respected and powerful and richest businessmen in this United States of America. And the centerpiece of the entire web is the use of children.
Troy Bonner was brought in for questioning by the FBI.
The FBI's attitude was, just no, these kind of things don't happen. From the first interview when I went, and realized they don't believe the fucking thing I'm saying,
They treated the allegations that I made about people who abused me almost like a joke.
I was very disappointed with the way the FBI and law enforcement treated the victims. They, in fact, turned them into the offenders, so to speak. And instead of taking the evidence that was delivered to them by the victims and interrogating the persons whom the victims identified, they seemed to bear down and try to get the victims to change their story.
Alicia Rowan was 15 when she attended her first party.
Those of us that didn't like to be involved and didn't want to be involved were threatened.
My fears are that, I'm not going to be believed again. It's just, going to be a whole other kind of exploitation like it was last time. And afraid that that's going to happen, or, I might end up dead, or a loved one might end up dead again. I want this to go forward and have something done so that all those other kids who a lot more worse things have happened to can come forward and see that action can be taken. Because there are a lot of other kids out there that, things happen to them that, a lot worse than happened to me.
You have to, if you want to protect yourself and your life and your family's life, both now and particularly in the future, is to use the institutions of government that have been set up to protect you and make them work. That means you go into federal court, you go after the people that have done this cover-up, and you expose it so there's no longer any percentage on their part in eliminating you because the secret's out.
That's why we're here today, to let it out.
I have no doubt that he's now telling the truth, number one. And number two, that he originally told the truth. Potentially, they could decide to charge him with perjury because now he is telling that they forced me to lie. I did lie at Alicia's trial. I did lie before the grand jury. I did it because the authorities were forcing me to do it. I was scared for my family. My brother had been killed when I tried to back out the one time. Potentially, they could charge him with perjury this time.
Alicia Rowan is out of prison and on bail, while the camp appeals against her perjury conviction.
You literally have to have bricks for brains to take on the FBI in this country. And that's exactly what you have to do this properly. Obviously, the FBI was protecting something a lot more significant. Every victim witness who stepped forward in any way, or even was a potential witness that somebody heard about, has either been killed, put in jail under some theory or other, terrified or run out of the state, discredited. Every perpetrator, even the convicted ones, have been treated as conquering heroes.
Retired special agent for the FBI. His name is Arthur Murtaugh.
And he said, I know you're right, and I know that what you're saying is of good principle and so forth, and I admire a man of good principle. But he said, you've got to make up your mind that we don't have any place for people of principle in the FBI. And you're either going to have to give up your principles or get out of the FBI.
such terrible loss of life in this Muslim